Hell yeah. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 223. Is that where we're at of Cocktails in the War Room? What's going on? I'm your host, Mistress Carrie. Welcome to the War Room. This is, the place that we gather on Tuesday nights at 8:30 to escape from the craziness of the world. And if you're new to the War Room, if you've never joined us before, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mistress Carrie. Welcome to my War Room, which is an actual room in the house where I keep all of my family's military memorabilia, things that I brought back from my trips overseas, embedded as a journalist in Iraq and Afghanistan. And it's also where the bar is, which is why we started hanging out here back on March 14th of 2020, which means next week, next Tuesday, is the 3-year anniversary of Cocktails in the War Room, which I cannot even believe. Now, if you're new to the War Room, you got to do a couple things. First of all, you got to say hi to my co-host because she's a total pain in the ass. This is Wednesday, the Goth Pug. That's where you can find her on Instagram. Wednesday, your camera is a little too close. The other thing you got to do is let us know that it's your first time here in the War Room with us. So you got to chime in on the comments. You got to let us know it's your first time. And you got to let us know where you're watching from. So I want to say what's up to Mark and Elsa, Michelle and Tracy, Carol, Lisa, Christine. Donna's here, Jessica and Stacy. Heinz joining us. This is the War Room family, by the way. So if you're new to the War Room, this is the family. Family, newbie, family. Wednesday. Why are you so close? Why? Trying to give you the best shot of the cuteness while she's being a total PETA, as my husband says, pain in the ass. Wednesday gets her own camera because she's a camera hog, as you can see. And she joins us because I bribe her with cookies, which is what she's going after because she knows I had them in my pocket. And then as soon as the cookies are gone, she leaves until it's time for mail call later in the show. And then if she thinks she's getting bribed with goodies in the mail, she'll come back and join us. Byron. What's going on, Byron? Will is here. Lisa. Kevin. What's going on? Jessica said my dad just had his knee surgery. Well, we're hoping, Jessica, that your dad is doing well. Please wish him love from everybody here in the War Room. Cheryl's watching in Clinton. Tom says, I'm a newbie here. Are you really, though, Tom? Are you really, though? Elliot, Maine, says Michael, next to New Hampshire, otherwise known as Canada, he says. Wednesday is too stinking cute, says Jessica. Wednesday, get the cookies, says Keith. All right, I will give you a little bit of a cookie. Where's my t-shirt, says Tom. Which t-shirt, Tom? Which one? We talk a lot about t-shirts here in the War Room. Oh, I needed that. For anybody that's new to the War Room, you can always tell what I'm drinking based on the vessel. So copper mug means a Moscow Mule. And a lot of you guys chimed in and sent me messages through mistresscarrie.com to tell me that, was it over the weekend, was National Moscow Mule Day? I think it was on Saturday. I definitely had a Moscow Mule on National Moscow Mule Day. The husband was here. The hubs flew in for like a 4-day weekend. For anybody that's new, my husband's active duty military, so we don't live together because I can't move and he can't move, so we just kind of make it work. And normally when we get to spend time together, there's usually a reason, whether it be a holiday, whether it be some kind of function that we need to get together for. And this time around, we just kind of wanted to spend the weekend hanging out together and just having some quiet time watching movies, hanging out on the couch. Sorry, I'm going to move the camera here a little bit. And having Moscow Mules, obviously, which is exactly what we did. So thank you guys for the heads up over the weekend about National Moscow Mule Day. Don wants to know if I still ride motorcycles. I do. I actually was on the phone with the dealership today because I put my motorcycle in winter storage just so that I can free up the room in the garage because of the snow. And I like to keep like a week's worth of firewood in barrels in the garage so that if we have a really bad storm, I know I've got like a week's worth of firewood that's dry and ready to go. And so garage space, I think for anybody is always limited, but my house was built in like the early 60s. And so, and back then families had one car. So a 2-car garage was more than enough. Hey, shush. A 2-car garage was plenty of stuff for a 1-car family, but yeah, it's not so much anymore. So I was on the phone with the dealership talking about getting the bike out of storage. I do still ride, but we've talked about it here in the War Room a bunch. It's really hard for me to use motorcycle riding as a way to de-stress anymore since my accident back in 2015. I don't find the same calmness when I ride now, and I don't ride at the frequency that I did before the accident. Something I'm trying to get back to. Last year I had a shoulder injury, so I didn't really ride all that much. This year I'm hoping by the time the nice weather rolls around that I'll be able to get on the bike more. But I think anybody that survived a motorcycle crash, no matter how severe, it's really hard to shake the fear of the bike after you've crashed. Some people are better at it than I am. I really don't like being afraid of things, which is why I didn't give up motorcycle riding completely after my accident and the facial reconstruction surgery that followed. Hey, down. You need to be nice and stop being such a pain in the ass. You hear me? High five. Thank you. Okay, now you can have a cookie. No more. No more. See my hands? No more. So go over here and lay down with all of your toys. Here, let's introduce everybody to some of your friends. But yes, long story short, yes, I do still ride. I'm hoping that maybe this year I'll be able to get out on the bike a little more. My husband rides as well. And so when I go to visit him, I ride on his bike. And then when he comes up here, we usually borrow a bike for him so that he's not riding on mine, because he's definitely not going to get on the back of mine. Although that was a joke the day we got married because our motorcycles were at the wedding and we took some funny pictures, but that's about the extent of it. Mark says, that was a scary day hearing the accident on the radio. Yeah, for anybody that wasn't listening to my radio show back then, maybe you found me because of the podcast or the War Room or social media after. But my motorcycle crash was the Friday afternoon of Labor Day weekend, and it blocked up traffic on the highway for miles as people were moving their kids into college. And so I had to call my boss right away because I knew that word was going to get out that I had crashed because people could see me. It says property of Mistress Carrie on my gas tank. And so I literally was on the phone with my boss from the ambulance, letting him know that it had happened. And I basically made 2 calls. I called my mom and I called my boss at the radio station. And even the guys that were off-duty Greenfield firefighters that pulled over to help me. Took me a year to find them, by the way, because they were off-duty and they never told me their name and never told anybody who they were. But they pulled over to help me and give me first aid until the ambulance could get there. And then when the ambulance arrived, they were really good at kind of keeping people's sight lines at bay. And normally they would cut clothes off of a motorcyclist, and they opted not to cut mine off because it was in the middle of the highway and everyone had stopped and there were people standing everywhere. And I'm forever grateful for being able to keep a little bit of my privacy. But I did get to take a selfie in the ambulance and call my boss. And it was scary to have to call my boss. And my face was pretty smashed up. I was off the air for like a month, had to have surgery. And then like 5 months later, had to have a second surgery as well. So I'm glad that's all behind me. I don't have any long-term injuries because of the motorcycle accident. I've got a little bit of scarring, and if you really pinch down on my nose, you can feel some bumps from the reconstruction surgery. But motorcycle accidents are scary, and which is why I've always ridden with all of my gear, which is what saved my life that day. DOT helmet, leather jacket, gloves, riding boots, denim jeans as opposed to, leggings or something. Really minimized my injuries. But since then, I am even more careful about the gear that I wear. And even when it's super hot in the summertime and my friends are riding in tank tops and t-shirts and shorts and Crocs, you'll never catch me on a motorcycle not dressed for the crash, not the ride. But yeah, I am looking forward to getting back out on the bike a little bit this year. I didn't get to do a lot. Last year was kind of a wash for me for everything. Skydiving, running, motorcycle riding. I really couldn't do much because I was laid up with my shoulder injury. So Scott says, this is why I wear a full face helmet. I had a 3/4 helmet on. So unfortunately for me, my face is what took the brunt of the accident. But a full face helmet is something I wear pretty frequently now as well. Let's see. Dress for the slide, not for the ride, said Jesse. And if you go on this Facebook page where you're watching, you go through my photo albums, there is one called Motorcycles, and there's photos of my bike in there. And there's also, hey, stop. She smells the other cookie. Oh, shit. There's photos of my bike, and there's also photos of me after the accident. You know how Facebook does facial recognition and tags you in your own photos? It didn't recognize me because the nose was a little, I look like a champion boxer, really. It was a little bit jacked up. So Mistress Carrie biker jacket, says Bish. I like that. Although biker jackets, like I remember when I got my bike, one of the first things I did was buy a real riding jacket that had the armor in the elbow pads and down the spine. And my jacket at the time, I think was like $600. And I bought it because I wanted a really good jacket. It's got the air vents. It's awesome. And so making Mistress Carrie motorcycle jackets, first of all, I'm going to want the best of the best jackets. And then, getting them and putting cool logos or embroidery or anything on them. They might be a little bit too expensive, Mark, but I love the idea. Ralph says, looking for a motorcycle bobblehead. Ralph, the Mistress Carrie bobbleheads are out there. Obviously, there's only so many, and there are not any more being made, at least not right now, maybe in the future. But people do have them, and you can find them on eBay. Somebody sent me a picture that they saw one at a flea market once, but it was for like $50. So you can find them, but it depends on how much people are willing to part with them for. Scott says, I have a Mistress Carrie bobblehead on the bike somewhere. I've got one too, but I don't want to part with it. It ended up on, hi, what are you doing? Can you come over here and just sit down and be a good girl? Down. Just be a good girl. Here. Be a good girl. I don't want to part with it. I gave everybody in my family one of those for Christmas the year they came out. And my mom had it on the mantle of the fireplace in the fancy living room for like years because it was like, wow, you really did make something of yourself, kid. You became a bobblehead, which was kind of hilarious. What's up, Heidi? Auntie Ange joining us. She's got one of the bobbleheads because, well, Auntie Ange gets whatever she wants. That's how it works. Elsa joining us. Let's see who else is here. Heidi's here. Tom's here. All right, so we got a lot to talk about. Wednesday, you're being very fresh tonight. Yeah, very fresh. Fresh. Yeah. Stop. Be a good... Do you guys see this? Tom says a Mistress Carrie bobblehead. Yeah, WAF made him years ago, Tom. They actually sent a photographer out to take photos of me on my bike because the bobblehead is of me on my actual motorcycle. And what's really ironic about the whole thing is that the hardest part of the bobblehead to get right by the sculptor was my nose. And then I end up crashing my motorcycle years later and jacking up my nose and having to have it reconstructed. So that's kind of funny. But the doctor did a great job because I look the exact same. So there you go. Byron says she wants a cookie. Byron, I know what she wants. Yeah, she is wicked feisty tonight, Donna, and I don't know why. Keith had the first bobblehead. Come on, this way. Down, down, down. Do you want this? Down. Sit, paw, other paw, down. Oh, shit. Michael Cole put a link up on eBay. I guess somebody's selling one of the bobbleheads on eBay, so you guys got to let me know what they're charging for it. That's pretty hilarious. Jessica says Wednesday says she wants belly rubs. What's up, Philip? He says, Heidi ho, fam, damly. Thanks for joining us. We got to talk while I'm sitting here rubbing Wednesday's belly. We got to talk about the crazy United flight from LA to Logan, where the 33-year-old guy from my hometown of Leominster tried to open the emergency exit door and threatened to kill everyone on the flight and tried to stab a flight attendant with a weapon he made out of a spoon in the bathroom. Did you guys see this crazy story? I tweeted about it today, and there's video up that someone took on the flight. We've talked about this before when I interviewed comedian Paul Mercurio on the podcast like 2 years ago. We talked about flying, and because I fly so much, either because of work or to visit my husband or family, I have a lot of things that I do every time I fly. We've talked about it before. I was just in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, having a carry-on bag that has got stuff just in case they lose your luggage, just in case they have to make an emergency landing in a destination that wasn't planned, to having a change of clothes, to having snacks in there, to having cell phone chargers, a book in case the Wi-Fi and the TVs on the flight don't work. I just like to have a little bit of everything in there. But one of the other things that I talked to Paul Mercurio about is, and it's a couple reasons why I do this. One of the things is that I always fly with my motorcycle boots on, because I always travel with motorcycle riding boots in case there's a chance I end up on a motorcycle, or they're some of the most comfortable shoes that I own, and they're also the heaviest. And if you're like me, who owns a luggage scale, I have to double check the weight of my suitcase before I go to the airport, because I am always pushing the baggage limit weight. And so you can save pounds if you wear the heaviest shoes on the plane. But the other reason, and this is like a post 9/11 thing for me, they've analyzed how it is that the hijackers on 9/11 were able to hijack planes with literally just razor blades. And it was because the people on the flight were complacent, and the only hostage situations that anyone had ever really experienced was that they would make the plane land and then they would negotiate for the hostages. And no one had ever seen anything like 9/11 before, which is why the passengers didn't fight back, which is why the Shanksville plane was crashed by passengers, because they had heard, after they had started to make calls with the mobile phones on the flights, that other planes were being purposefully crashed in New York and Washington, D.C. And so ever since then, I've had this kind of inherent paranoia about being on a plane where someone, and I'm not saying terrorist, I'm just saying someone getting froggy on the flight for whatever reason. Whether it be they have been drunk, like my infamous Cheez-It incident that we have talked at length about here in the War Room, or somebody just harassing the flight attendants or anything like that. For me, when I fly, I always opt to be in the aisle because I don't like being trapped at the window. And I also kind of want to be ready if there's some kind of an emergency. And if there's something going on where the plane crashes or there's just something weird, I don't want to have like Crocs on. I want to have good, solid shoes on. So I always fly in motorcycle boots. And even though I have TSA pre-check, I always have to take them off when I go through TSA because they always set the alarms off. But I saw the video of this guy on this flight from Leominster. I mean, from LA to Boston from Leominster. And he was literally screaming that he was going to kill everyone on the flight. And as I'm watching this, I kept waiting for someone in one of the rows to just sucker punch the guy and knock him out. And it wasn't until he got up and charged the flight attendants and actually tried to stab one of the flight attendants 3 times in the neck that all of a sudden a bunch of passengers got up and bundled the guy. And kudos to those guys because they're absolute 100% heroes. They're saying this guy could get life in prison because he's going to be federally charged for being a complete psycho. But, and look, I realize that I'm not, an MMA fighter, but I also know that everyone's lives are in jeopardy. And this guy said when they arrested him on the ground that he knew that people would die if he got that emergency door open. Yeah. I don't care if it's a bunch of 7th graders that are on their way to a ballet competition. I would hope that anyone on a flight, regardless of your situation, is going to do everything you can to try and fight someone like that because you're trapped in a metal tube going over 500 miles an hour that's filled with jet fuel. If he gets that plane open, if he does something to try and disrupt the flight, all of our lives are in jeopardy. And if you guys haven't seen the video yet, you got to see it. Keith says no Crocs. Look, I'm not trying to trash on Crocs. I love them and I wear them all the time. I just don't wear them on a motorcycle and I don't wear them on a plane. So Michael says you're allowed to bring a spoon onto a flight. Knives were, Cy, the only thing prohibited. Well, this guy basically took a spoon into the bathroom and spent time in the bathroom like filing this thing down somehow and made a weapon out of it. And the more I see crazy things like they've had people hiding drugs and paraphernalia in prosthetic limbs. They have caught elderly people in wheelchairs with crutches trying to smuggle contraband on flights. They have caught people trying to smuggle drugs in the diapers of infants. And people always give TSA crap when they go to search the elderly, babies, all of that kind of stuff. But here's an example of a fucking spoon that got used as a weapon and could have maybe not brought the flight down, but he was trying to stab the flight attendant in the neck. He could have killed that flight attendant if it got into his artery. There's no way they would have been able to stop the bleeding long enough for the flight to land and for paramedics to save the flight attendant's life. Technically, that's attempted murder, I would think. So, it is crazy and scary, Jessica. Broke the spoon and right off, says Tom. Exactly. So there you go. I would hope someone would knock a crazy person out on a flight like that. Like don't threaten people on flights. Literally knock them out. I don't care, with a book, with anything. As far as I know, they've never charged a passenger that has aided the flight crew when it came to a disorderly passenger. To my knowledge, I could be speaking out of turn because I'm not an expert, as you guys know, on anything here in the War Room, especially keeping my dog obedient. Yeah, Lemonster nut job, Brett. Exactly. Elsa says people are crazy. Yeah, Jonathan says they're going to ban spoons. It's literally insane. Pretty soon, we're only going to be able to get on a flight nude. And even then, people are going to, throw poop or something. It's just insane. It is attempted murder, Jessica. Yeah, exactly. They should charge his ass with that also. Michelle, I think they are going to, because all of the reports that I've seen, especially because there's seriously damning video of him literally saying he's going to kill everyone on the flight, that they're going to just throw the book at this guy, as they should. But if you look at this guy as well, and I'm not making a judgment about his age, gender, race, like any of those things. He just had like the crazy eyes, like the eyes that are always open just a little too wide. And if you watch the video, it's like when someone is talking like this, you just kind of know the crazy gene is strong in there. And I don't know if he's got mental problems. So, once this video ends up on the internet, I'm not making a statement about mental illness or any of those things. It's just, out of everybody on the flight, looking at that, I was like, oh, fuck, really? And of course he's from my hometown of Leominster. Just, of course. Look at the hiccups. I would use my cane. Yeah, Michelle, there you go. Use whatever, because you might not have another chance to fight back. Seriously, if you think about it, it's really dangerous and scary. You know what else I read? Did you guys see the footage a while back of the woman that punched the Southwest flight attendant and knocked a couple of her teeth out? I read today, as an adjacent article to this article about the guy from Leominster, that she got fined $80,000. And I'm pretty sure they charged her criminally as well, which they 100% should. But that bitch should have gotten bundled too, because she literally like broke the woman's nose and like broke her teeth. The woman, you know, had to retire from her job because of post-traumatic stress. Like, it's insane that people think you can get away with that stuff on flights. I would like to think anyone that tries to raise a fuss on a flight has pretty much already resigned the fact that they're going to get killed. Because if it was a bunch of us from the War Room, or just can you imagine like a bunch of metal fans flying to go see Slipknot or something, and some yahoo just decides to stand up and cause trouble on the flight? There literally wouldn't be anything left of that person. Like, there would be Slipknot lyrics smeared in blood on the ceiling of the flight. I just don't understand. And it's not like that. And if that person doesn't think they're going to die, like, you're on the plane too, motherfucker. You open the emergency door. What are you going to do? Try and be DB Cooper and survive? Like, it's not going to happen. Keith said, if I were nude on a flight, you would just see my nut bag. Nuts aren't allowed on flights because of allergies. Thank you. Dealing with the public is scary, says Jen. Yeah, exactly. Mark says, Mistress Air, nude flights for everyone. Oh, man. Exactly. Keith says, Jonathan says, Keith, my poor eyes. So if you haven't seen the video of this, I tweeted it out, and all I could think about was that you would go full Cheez-It, because, yeah. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're new to the War Room, go to the dictionary, which is the first post in my blog at mistresscarrie.com. It explains a lot of the inside and private jokes that we talk about here in the War Room. It's like our glossary to welcome new people into the War Room so that they can get caught up on all of the inside jokes and the terms that we throw around. Let's see. Walter, do the pat downs. Yeah, exactly. The flight attendant should sue the bag off of her, says Annette. Yeah. And I got to tell you, like, maybe it's just the old Sicilian in me, the way, like, that person would never sleep a sound night ever again, because I would make it my life's work to literally make them fucking miserable if somebody came after me like that. Like, I can't imagine that person not being in jail for the rest of their lives. They deserve whatever comes to them. And I'm not, once again, it's like, I have to preface this by saying this is all conjecture, and I'm not telling people to go after people and hurt them. We live in a world where crazy people fucking do that too, as we've seen on January 6th and other days. So, all right, we got a lot to talk about. Lots going on the show today. Some really cool, exciting news on some things, some big announcements coming in the next few weeks. Obviously, next week is the 3-year anniversary, which I'm super stoked about. So, all right, so we got to talk about some events. Now, one just got announced. First of all, the one that's coming up the quickest is the big gig coming up at the end of April 29th at the DCU Center. Mike Shue and I are going to be hosting the second annual big gig. This year's headliners, Breaking Benjamin, Falling in Reverse, The Pretty Reckless, Beartooth, and Dorothy. Tickets are on sale now, and all of the details are up in the concert calendar at mistresscarrie.com. This just got announced, and this is always so much fun. This is going to be the third one that I've been to since I started working at the Pike. Hairfest. It happens at Indian Ranch every year. They get some of the best tribute bands around for an entire afternoon of literally all the hits from all of your favorite bands. The Four Horsemen, the Metallica tribute, are going to be headlining this year. Shot of Poison, the Poison tribute. The Priest, the Judas Priest tribute. Welcome to the Jungle, the Guns N' Roses tribute, and Osmosis, the Ozzy tribute, are all going to be at Hairfest 2023 coming up August 19th at Indian Ranch. Tickets go on sale this Saturday to the general public, but they go on sale Friday for the official pre-sale. You need a code for the pre-sale. That's it. The Pike, not hard. All the details up on the event calendar at mistresscarrie.com. Now, we are this close to being able to announce all of the details on the special War Room on Deployment event that is definitely happening on May 6th. I'm pretty sure we're going to be making that announcement next week for the 3rd anniversary of Cocktails in the War Room. But I want you to block off this night. May 6th, it's a Saturday. The War Room family is getting together in person. It is going to be an absolute blast. I'm going to have all of the details for you very soon. They're working out the final artwork, getting all of the final details together, but it is, it's going to be a really fun night. If you have been waiting for an excuse for the War Room to get together, this is your excuse. If you are a veteran that has been waiting for an excuse to call some of your buddies that you served with and get together for that beer that you've been threatening to have since before COVID, this is the excuse. So if you are a veteran and you've got friends, tell them to save this date, and I will get you all of the details very soon. But we want to get everybody together. It's going to be an absolute blast, and it's coming up Saturday, May 6th. Keep your eye on the events calendar. Keep your eye on all the Mistress Carrie socials. If you're a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass holder, you already know what's going on, but the details are coming very, very soon, and I'm super excited to be able to get everybody from the War Room together. People aren't going to have to wear masks this time. It's going to be a Saturday night, so a lot of people that when we got the War Room together during the week were like, this sucks because I got to go home. I got to get up in the morning. It's a Saturday night, so hopefully nobody is going to have to get up and go to work the next day. So block that day off, May 6th. More details coming. All right, if you're new to the War Room, we like to go through the cocktail books that I have here in my bar to make use of some of the beverages, some of the liquor that you might have stowed away in the liquor cabinet. And well, I picked this one for obvious reasons. The Purple Hooter from Mistress Carrie Airlines and those naked flights. The Purple Hooter is an ounce of citrus vodka, a half an ounce of triple sec, and a half an ounce of Chambord. Shake the ingredients and strain them into a shot glass and serve. So you can shake them into a Mistress Carrie shot glass that you can get in the online store. But that is called the Purple Hooter. So if you want to make some shots, the Purple Hooter is citrus vodka, and then triple sec and Chambord in equal parts. And then shake the ingredients, strain them into a shot glass and serve. And that should be pretty delicious. Maybe a cherry in there for a little after shot garnish. But this thing shouldn't taste like crap. It should taste pretty good. So I don't think we need garnishes for this one. But it's called the Purple Hooter. Love it. Let's see. Purple Hooter and blue balls, says Jonathan. Speaking of Purple Hooters, what is on your shirt? So I'll tell you guys that I'm getting a little riled up about the marathon. In a lot of the episodes over the last few weeks, I've been talking about John Connolly from Seven Dust, who is running the Boston Marathon this year. He was challenged to do it by Mark Tremonti and his organization, Take a Chance for Charity. And so I've been talking to a lot of people. Mark Tremonti, I talked to Clint Lowry from Seven Dust. I talked to Tyler Connolly from Theory of Dead Man about John Connolly's upcoming Boston Marathon run. I'm going to get John Connolly on the podcast before his marathon run. But this is one of the shirts that I got in the Runner's Village because I had to. It says Boston Runner 26.2. And starting the Thursday or Friday before the marathon, the Heinz Convention Center is where all of the runners have to go to pick up their bibs. And security obviously is pretty tight, especially this year being the 10th anniversary of the marathon bombing in 2013, which I cannot even believe it was 10 years ago. But to get your bib, you've got to go through security. You got to show ID, all of that stuff. But then there's the Runners Expo that's in the convention center at the Heinz. And that's where the runners go, and you can get all of the running gear, the marathon jacket that I wear every year here in the War Room. Just all of like the Boston Marathon swag. There's a lot of vendors there that, just sell runner specific stuff. And there's always really cool stuff. And when I ran the marathon in 2019, I was like, you know what? I'm doing this once in my life. I probably spent $500 or $600 in the Runners Expo because I was like, I'm never going to go to the expo and buy stuff again because I'm never going to run the marathon again. This year I'm running, I'm buying all the shit. So my shirt tonight is my Boston Runner shirt that I got at the expo in 2019. And what does it say on the sleeve? Oh yeah, there you go. It was a partnership with Dunkin' Donuts, so they actually allowed him to use the font and the colors. But if you know anybody that's running, if you get excited about the marathon, the expo is always crazy. And now that I've been on both sides of the marathon route, both as a spectator and as a runner, I am all about the marathon every year. Like, I pick up friends at the airport every year that fly into Boston to run the marathon. A lot of time I have them staying at the house because hotels are so hard to find. And anytime you see the runners leading up to the marathon, they've got their runners' jackets on. After the marathon, they obviously have their medals on. I always go out of my way to welcome them to Boston if they're from out of town, to congratulate them on their run. It really is one of the highlights of my life. I've talked about it here in the War Room before. Incredibly difficult. I could never do it again. I hated the training. It was so fucking hard. And for people that don't run, if you're not an amateur runner, a competitive runner, it's easy for us to take the marathon for granted if you grew up in Massachusetts. But to the running world, and I don't just mean in the United States, I mean the world, the Boston Marathon is the Everest of running. And people try their whole running career to get a bib, to qualify, to get a charity bib so that they can make this pilgrimage to Boston and run it and cross that finish line. And until I did it myself, I didn't really understand just what a big deal our marathon is, because it's just always been part of my life. It was part of my life when I was in college, because me and all of my dorm mates used to go down to the finish line and cheer on the people that were like me, that it took 6 fucking hours to cross the finish line. And then always being down at the finish line broadcasting for work, the marathon was just always something I remember. My dad always used to watch it on TV when I was a kid. Of course, we always had the day off for President's Day. But as a runner, I have a completely different appreciation for the marathon now, and what the city and the crowds and the community mean to the runners. And anything that I can do to try and make that a little more special for people that have tried for years to get a bib, to book an expensive hotel room, to get a flight for not just them, but their loved ones, to come to a strange city, get up in the middle of the night and get on a bus and drive out to Hopkinton and stand around for hours just for the opportunity to run in the Boston Marathon, to say that they did it. I get nerdy about the marathon now. And I've been talking so much about it because John Connolly is going to learn that experience this year. I started digging through all of my stuff, looking for all the marathon stuff that I bought, and I found this one and thought I would wear it tonight. So let's see. As a runner, it is on my bucket list to do the marathon. Mark, I have told you, I think it's like having kids. Like, people say it doesn't matter how ready you are, you're never ready to have kids. Mark, you're never going to be ready. And I know you've been running, but you're never going to be ready unless you become like a competitive, like, marathoner. What worked for me is signing up for the charity and then going public, because it forced me to train. And Mark, you've got an entire War Room community right here that if you wanted to run it next year, I'm sure there are a ton of veterans-based organizations that have bibs that we could try to get you a bib and support your run. You do have to raise a lot of money. The minimum, I believe, from the BAA is $6,500, although a lot of charities require well over that. So the charity part of it, the fundraising part of it can be difficult because to get your bib, you have to put your credit card down. And if you don't raise the money's getting paid one way or the other because these bibs are so hard to get. And they even have people that are willing to just charge $10,000 and make a donation to a charity and basically buy the bib. And the charities don't want that because they want everyday runners galvanizing their loved ones in their community and taking to social media and training and bringing on their community and their tribe with them, which is exactly what I did, to show people the months and months of training that are required. So Mark or anybody else that ever thinks they might want to tackle the marathon, reach out to me, click the message the studio button at mistresscarrie.com, or if you have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, reach out that way. I would encourage anyone to do it because it completely changed my life. It is hard. I cannot overstate that, but it's so well worth it. And still, I look at that medal and I'm like, I can't believe I actually finished. 6 hours, 24 minutes, 50 seconds. Yeah. Nothing to write home about, but I crossed the finish line. Penny says, I started running and I hate it. Penny, I hate it too. I got glimpses of that runner's high that they call it, the elusive runner's high. There were times when I was training for the marathon that I would lose miles and I'd be like, wait, where did those miles go? Because you get into like that zone, but I hate it too. It sucks. And I didn't find it to be like a relaxing thing. It was a chore for me. It doesn't come naturally to me. But again, that was part of the challenge for me is growing up with bad legs, thinking that I could never tackle something so strenuous. And then I did it and I couldn't believe it. Heidi says, I can't run to the corner. Mark says, I've done a half marathons, never a full. Mark, if you can do a half marathon, you can do a full. All you got to do is be able to run 20. The crowd will take you the last 6.2. I'm telling you, Mark, if it is on your bucket list, every year that you wait, your body gets older. Just fucking do it. And we will all be right there to cheer you on. Penny says, I just keep doing it every day though. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing about running is that as I was training, it got to the point where I was like, okay, I need to get home and run. And even though I hated it, I started looking forward to it. It's like someone hating to clean the toilet, but really liking a clean bathroom. You're just like, I'm not going to like doing it, but I'm going to like the result. It's that. And you feel so accomplished. And I mean, I would go out and run like Thanksgiving morning and then eat all the mashed potatoes and gravy and not feel bad at all. So if you want to run it, but don't wait too long because we're only getting older and the recovery is harder and getting started becomes harder every year that you go. So, Mark says 2024, the year I do the marathon. Let's do it. Mark, if you are serious, we are behind you. Are you kidding? That would be amazing. Yes. Just do it. Fuck it. Just do it. I feel like I'm talking you into things that are bad for you, but this isn't bad for you. And we will all be there cheering you on and we will help you with the fundraising in every way we can. And it's going to be awesome. Yes. I'll be 38 next year. It's not going to get any easier at 39, Mark. I can tell you that right now. So we got to find you a bib. There are a ton of amazing charities. if you go to the BAA's website right now, Mark, you can see there's something that says charities or charity runners or whatever. And at least you can see the list of all of the charities that have bibs this year, which will give you a good starting point to try and find an organization. You really want to care about the organization you're going to run for because you're going to go through hell for them. I ran for the Home Base program, which is the partnership between the Red Sox and Mass Gen that helps veterans with post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injuries. So you want to find an organization that really does speak to you because you are going to be going through hell for them. So perfect age to run it, says Michael. We will be there to help you, Mark. Where did Wednesday go? She's sleeping right here. Hold on, I'll show you. She's right there. This is what happens. This is the part of the show. All the energy's gone. Now she just sits and waits and hopes for treats in the mail or something. So, but yeah, she's there. Jessica says the Scars Foundation is one that I believe in. Well, that's the thing. Only so many charities every year get bibs. And I don't know if Sully and the Scars Foundation have been able to get bibs yet, but just keep your eyes on the website. And if you have a hard time finding an organization with bibs, Mark, let me know and I will do what I can to help you because there are a lot of amazing organizations that get bibs and they are always looking for someone that not only is going to take the run seriously, but also the fundraising seriously. So, because they want people to learn about the organization as well. They want you to help promote the organization and what they do. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome. So excited. All right, let's talk about the podcast, shall we? First of all, I totally hit the wrong button. So let me recap the podcast now that I ruined the surprise of who's on the podcast this week. Episode 143 last week, Lee Caccati from Pop Evil joined us again on the show. He'd been on the show before. The band is releasing their new album, Skeletons, coming up on March 17th. March 17th, which by the way is next Friday, is a huge day for new releases. Skeletons is coming out from Pop Evil. Theory of a Dead Man's new album, Dinosaur, is coming out. U2's Songs of Surrender is coming out next Friday. And just yesterday, the Black Crowes announced they recorded a live album. It's called Shake Your Moneymaker Live when they did their reunion tour in 2021 and 2022. And that is coming out on March 17th as well. So having Lee back on the show to talk about the difference in the recording of this record versus the last, because he was on the podcast before they released their last album. And we talked about the difficulty of working on the songs while the band was separated because of COVID. Haley, their drummer, was stuck in Europe and couldn't get into the United States because of COVID. Getting to bump into Lee in Madison, Wisconsin last year with my family, which is how we ended up on the family Christmas card this year, which is kind of hilarious. Lee is just somebody that you just can't help but love. He's so positive and so happy and fun and just someone that has this energy that you just want to be around. So even if you're not a fan of Pop Evil's music, you got to check out episode 143 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. Lee Caccati from Pop Evil, just a genuine human being. He's one of my favorite guests and he is absolutely awesome. So that was last week's episode. Comments on last week's episode? Mark says, I'll want to wear a War Room shirt. Well, Mark, if you run for a charity, they are going to make a bib for you to mark you as part of their team, which really does help because if you're going to train with your team, it's a way for you to find your teammates on the course. But we'll find a way to mark you with the War Room for sure. And if they don't make a bib for you, then we'll find a way to make you a War Room bib. But that is definitely one of the things that the charities always want you to do is wear the bib that they make for the whole team, because you're also getting your picture taken and you're going to be sharing the photos of you on the course. And it's kind of like when I ran it, they had this big thing where we all got together. We had a big meeting. And everybody, you know, we met coaches. A lot of the charities will hire running coaches. The teams get together for training runs together. It really is kind of a bonding experience. The home base program actually had us go to the gym at home base, and we all worked out together. They brought in personal trainers with us. And then the night we all got our bibs was like kind of a big deal for us, because that was like, okay, wow, this is real. So I would encourage you that whatever organization you're going to run for, that you wear their bib. But if for some reason they don't make you a bib, we'll figure out. And you're not going to want to wear a cotton t-shirt anyway. You're going to want to wear non-chafing running stuff. Trust me. I could do a whole war room just on the do's and don'ts of training for a marathon and running a marathon. And I'm not even a good runner, but I've made all the mistakes. The chafing and the rubbing and it's a thing, seriously. So episode 143, Lee Kakati from Pop Evil. If you haven't checked it out yet, you definitely want to listen to it. Donna says, put some MC stickers on your bib if allowed, as long as you don't cover the bib. Like, you're not supposed to deface the bib at all. And part of the reason is, obviously, they don't want you modifying it, because that's how they tell if bandit runners kind of jump on the course. But also they have this technology where they have cameras all along the route and photographers taking pictures of the runners. And then because of your bib, they have software that looks for the bib numbers. And if you pay, which I bought the photo package, it was like $100, you get all of these professional photos of you from all across the course, which is so cool. It's how I have those awesome pictures of me at the start and the finish. And so you can't put stickers on the bib. And the Mistress Carrie stickers are great, but they're not going to stick to you after 26.2 miles, because you're going to be a sweaty mess. So Band-Aid the nipples. Yeah, there's the glide sticks and all of that. It's a whole thing. But yeah, we'll find ways to show you our love. I wrote stuff in Sharpie down my arms. I wore arm sleeves until it got too hot. Like, I wore an AAF hat for part of it while it was cold in the morning, just so that I could mark myself. But at the end of the day, it was like everything that's not unnecessary is coming off, because I just want to get to the friggin' finish. So, all right, episode 143, that was last week. Episode 144 is this week. I already kind of gave away the surprise. Episode 144, a returning guest, Billy Sheehan from the Winery Dogs, who were just in town a couple weeks ago. Billy Sheehan, a returning guest. He was actually on a bonus episode in August of 2021. I actually met him at a podcast convention that I went to in Nashville and had a chance to sit down with him for a few minutes. It wasn't very long, because he was making the rounds talking to everybody, but he had always promised me that he would come back on the podcast. And now that the Winery Dogs are out on the road in support of their latest album, 3, I took this opportunity to really sit down and get a little nerdy with Billy Sheehan about songwriting, about his upbringing, about the dynamics of being in a power trio as opposed to being in a band with 4 or 5 members. We talked about his cats. He's very enthusiastic about his cats. So we talked a lot about his cats. We talked a lot about his 80s fashion choices. This is a really fun episode. And again, Billy Sheehan is the kind of guy that is just so positive and happy. He was actually in the back lounge of the Winery Dogs tour bus when we did the interview, because the band is out on the road. And he's somebody that loves to talk. He loves what he does. He absolutely loves the life that he is living. Loves the fact that he became a professional musician, and that he has the ability to be able to follow his dreams. And he is very grateful to the fans that have given him this life. And he always wants to talk about it, about songwriting, about music theory, about giving lessons. So super excited for you guys to hear this week's episode 144, featuring Billy Sheehan from the Winery Dogs and so many other projects, including David Lee Roth, Mr. Big. There's a lot going on always with Billy Sheehan. So he's my guest this week. It goes live at midnight tonight. Full-length episodes of the Mistress Carrie podcast come out every Wednesday, and they always go live at midnight that day. So we're just a few hours away from this episode going live. And if you subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast, not only do you get the full-length episodes, you get bonus episodes whenever I get an opportunity to put up extra episodes. And you also get access to the sit rep. You get notified when the sit reps go live. They upload at 3 a.m. So no matter how early you get up in the morning, it takes around 5 minutes and it runs down all of the headlines in rock, all the music stuff you need to know, technology stuff about streaming, music licensing, vinyl, and then there's entertainment stuff and movie stuff, television shows, whatever I think is going to be interesting for us. It's in the sit rep and it's every weekday. And it's just another reason to subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast. And there are tons of places to listen to the podcast. It's growing more and more every day. If you listen to a specific podcast app, search for the Mistress Carrie podcast. You'll find this artwork right here. If you don't see the Mistress Carrie podcast, let me know because I want to know why the podcast isn't there. Most recently, all of the episodes, the bonus episodes, the sit reps, the full-length episodes are all on YouTube. Now, it's not the video of the interviews, it's the audio. But a lot of people listen to podcasts on YouTube because you can open up a tab on your computer while you're working and just click play on the YouTube video and go about your day. Whereas a lot of other podcast apps and other players might not stay open while you're working. And a lot of employers have firewalls that don't let a lot of these podcast apps actually open on your computer. So all the episodes are on YouTube as well, and they get uploaded pretty instantly. So listen to the podcast wherever you get podcasts, and all of the links are on mistresscarrie.com as well. All right, some pretty cool news. First of all, we're holding steady at 149 countries that are listening to the Mistress Carrie podcast. And I found out this week that February, the Mistress Carrie podcast became the #1 most listened to podcast on the Pantheon Podcast Network, which is pretty awesome. I can't thank you guys enough. The Pantheon Podcast Network is, I believe, over 100 music-related podcasts of all different music genres. There are some podcasts like Long May You Young, Mike Shue's podcast, that focuses on just one artist, Neil Young. There are Kiss podcasts. There are Prince podcasts. There are podcasts about Bob Dylan. So many different podcasts. And to be this month or February, to be the most listened to podcast on the Pantheon Podcast Network is because of you guys, because you guys are getting the word out about the podcast. You're sharing the episodes on social media. You are commenting. You're giving it 5-star ratings, which I totally appreciate. So whatever you guys are doing to help get the word out, for example, if you're a bass player and you're in bass player groups on Facebook, share the Billy Sheehan episode. If you have friends that are fans of 80s music that love Mr. Big, share the Billy Sheehan episode. Share the episodes, comment on them, make sure you're subscribed because it's working. And next month, maybe we won't be #1 at Pantheon. I only wish the best for everybody in the network because it is that whole the water raises all the boats, or however that phrase goes. But I was pretty taken aback that the podcast, out of all of the amazing podcasts on the Pantheon Podcast Network, that the Mistress Carrie podcast was #1. So it's because of you guys. You guys rock. All right, we got a bunch of stuff to get through, and I want to be really fast about it because I don't want to keep you guys up this late. Peter Gabriel announced a tour and extended dates, and that includes a date coming up in Boston on Thursday, September 14th. The tickets go on sale this Friday. People have asked me over and over again, what's the best concert you ever saw? I have always answered Woodstock 94. He was the last performer at Woodstock 94, and it's one of the most amazing musical performances I've ever seen. So if you're a Peter Gabriel fan, he is one of those artists that if you like his music, you gotta see him. And as we talk about a lot here in the War Room, see the artists you want to see before you lose the opportunity for whatever the reason. So excited about Peter Gabriel coming to the TD Garden, and he released a whole list of tour dates. Boston Calling, of course, is coming Memorial Day weekend. to the Harvard Athletic Complex, the annual music festival happening in Boston. 3 nights, the Foo Fighters headlining night number 1 with the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, the Lumineers and Alanis Morissette headlining night number 2, Paramore and Queens of the Stone Age headlining night number 3. I've started organizing the shows a little bit differently, trying to do it based on venue. So Big Night Live is the venue that's over by the TD Garden. Here are some of the rock shows that are coming. These tickets are available now. Static X coming up fast. That one's with Fear Factory and Mushroom Head and Dope. That one is March 21st. VV is going to be there April 2nd. Enslaved on April 6th. Tarja on June 18th. All of those tickets are on sale now. And any of the shows we talk about here in the War Room are up on the concert calendar at mistresscarrie.com. The Xfinity Center this summer outside in Mansfield, the Dave Matthews Band, Bret Michaels, Party Gras, Jelly Roll, Foreigner, Disturbed, Ghost, Nickelback, just some of the shows that are rock related that are coming to the Xfinity Center. And sometimes there are other places in New England that you can see these bands. I am trying more and more every day to make the concert calendar all of New England. So if you really love a band and you kind of want to stalk them and see them a bunch of times, like Jelly Roll is playing 4 times in New England alone, you could go and see them a bunch. This is a bunch of miscellaneous shows because there are just so many venues. Jerry Cantrell coming up next Friday at the Cabot Theater in Beverly. Blink-182, even though Travis Barker had to have surgery on a ligament in his finger, the Blink-182 tour in North America is still going, and that is happening at the Garden on May 21st. Avatar at the Paradise coming up May 24th. Anvil at the Middle East on April 1st. Aaron Lewis at Foxwoods on April 22nd. Godsmack at the Mohegan Sun Arena May 28th. Oop, typo, that is not Coheed and Cambria. It's Coheed and Cambria. And if you're new to the War Room, when there's typos, you drink. Coheed and Cambria at Roadrunner coming up on May 4th. Fantastic venue, by the way. At the Palladium in Worcester, coming up fast. Steel Panther and Crowbot on March 19th. Pop Evil on March 23rd. Queensryche on April 7th. Nothing More on April 8th. Wage War on May 12th. And Weezer at the Palladium Outdoors coming up on July 1st. And the tickets went on sale last week for that one. The MGM Music Hall at Fenway, Dropkick Murphys have got actually 3 shows, the 16th, 17th, and 18th at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway, and then March 19th at the House of Blues. The Pixies are going to be at MGM, and that's the MGM Music Hall in Boston, not MGM in Springfield. The Pixies on June 8th, Les Claypool on June 29th, Yellow Card July 9th, Noel Gallagher on July 15th, Mastodon and Gojira on August 20th. That one is completely sold out. Lots of rumors about those guys. More on that to come. And Beck on September 5th. And then the House of Blues, I wanted to isolate the shows there. The Dropkicks on the 19th. The Joe Perry Project on April 16th. Thrice on June 2nd. And the Struts are going to be there on July 18th. And if you haven't seen the Struts yet, had them on the podcast. They are fantastic. Really, really good. Tom Sizemore just passed away. Jessica said, definitely something that I talked a lot about in the sit rep, but he had a brain aneurysm at 61 years old. He was with his brother and his 17-year-old twin sons at the hospital when he died, and he had battled his demons over the years, but the brain aneurysm is what got him into the hospital and what he never recovered from. And he was such a fantastic actor. I think about his role, the E7 in Saving Private Ryan. He was so good. And so a loss to movie making because he's one of those guys that was just a really gifted actor. And you hate to see somebody like that gone so young. So Tom Sizemore passed away at the age of 61. Want to let you guys know about the new releases that are coming out this Friday. Now, the ones I already listed, the Pop Evil and the Theory of a Dead Man, U2 and the Black Crowes, those are next Friday. These come out this Friday. Death Cab for Cutie releasing Asphalt Meadows Acoustic, Flogging Molly, Till Anarchy's Restored the EP, and Van Morrison Moving on Skiffle. Those all come out this Friday. And there's always a link at the Sit Rep to give you a list of all of the new releases as well. So check the show notes of the Sit Rep, because not only are you going to find the links to all the stories I'm talking about, but there is also a link to find all the new releases and a link to find all the new movie releases as well. So, okay, mail call. The ever elusive, back-ordered, we never thought they were going to arrive, Santa skull leggings have finally arrived. Ah, how cool are these? And people always ask me when I wear this stuff, they're like, Carrie, where do you find things with skulls all over them like that? And I'm like, people send me this stuff. Auntie Ange is famous for finding stuff like this, but I got the shirt around Christmas and the matching pants never came in. They came in. Ah. Yeah, you know what? Tom Sizemore was great in Black Hawk Down as well, Mark, 100%. Jonathan says, we are losing so many people. The In Memoriam segment of the Academy Awards this Sunday night is actually going to be played. The musical accompaniment is going to be Lenny Kravitz, which is pretty spectacular. So that's happening this weekend. So, oh my God, those are amazing, says Rachel. We've been waiting months for these to come in, and they are freaking worth the wait. How cool are these? Yes. Tony says Wednesday should be waking up right now. You think, Tony? You think she popped her head up? And then right back down because she realized the leggings aren't for her. All right. Let's see what else came in the mail call. Look at Wednesday. She's like, I want to see. I got this one, and this was crammed in the box at the post office from the McMahons. Again, I don't know where you guys keep finding these cards. This thing was crammed in the box, which is why I didn't find it around Valentine's Day. But it says Pugs and Kisses. Seriously? One more time. It's so amazing. It says, Carrie and Wednesday, do I wish you a happy Valentine's Day? You're doggone right I do. Thanks for being you. Love, Melissa and Tim. Oh my God, I freaking love this card. It is so adorable. Sorry it took so long to get it, but I finally got it. They also sent me some really hilarious Post-it notes. There are the crap Post-its and the seriously Post-its, which are so funny. The seriously sticky notes say, no matter your notation needs, ensure that even the smallest stuff gets noticed with knock knock stickies. Just as colorful and witty as all of your brilliant or mundane thoughts. So these are kind of hilarious. So good. Thank you guys. All right. And then these came in the purple packaging. Let me read the card. It says, thank you, Wednesday, for all your entertainment. Enjoy your gift from Trina. Look at her. Look at her eyes. Look at her. She knows. She knows. I don't know how she knows, but she knows. Right? Wednesday, what's in here for you? Why can't I get the bag open? I love the purple bag, by the way. peep for Wednesday. And it squeaks. Wednesday, Trina bought you a purple peep. Let me take the tag off so you don't choke on it, because you're going to want to eat it. Want to see your purple peep? I booped your nose with the peep. I peeped your nose. Boop. See? You're so spoiled, you little shit. Oh my God, that is so freaking cute. Trina, you're amazing. And there was one more bag in here. And this one says, thank you for creating this community. It means more than I can express in words. It has been a tough 3 years for all of us, and you made it more bearable for all of us. Thank you, from Trina. Trina, I tell you guys all the time, you guys pulled me right off the ground too. I mean, literally, when you think about it, 3 years next week, we're going to be celebrating. And the fact that it falls on a Tuesday is kind of awesome. But we've been getting together for 3 years and talking about whatever needed to be talked about. And when I go back and think, you know how the Facebook timeline thing reminds you of all your memories? Obviously, you know, the last day of AAF, and March 6th was the 3-year anniversary of my company, Bigfoot First Productions. And so to think about all of the things, I mean, seriously, like 223 episodes. It's kind of unreal. All right, I got to cut this tape somehow. Hold on. Wednesday thinks this is mine. You got your peep. There we go. Got it. Usually I open them ahead of time, but I didn't today for some reason. It says, inside it says, cheers. Know someone who would love a bevy cup? Check this out. Cheers to 3 years. How cool is that? This is what I'm going to be drinking out of next week. That's for shit sure. I'm so glad I got it in time for our 3-year anniversary. Oh, this is so awesome, Trina. Thank you. By the way, it says, know someone who would love a bevy cup. Save 10% on our drinkware. Anywhere bevy cups are sold with the code. There you go. You guys want the discount code? Little Mistress Carrie deal here. There you go. If you want a cheers to 3 years cup, I suppose I should have made them myself, right? And put Mistress Carrie cups in the store. Fail. Still waiting on the guitar picks, but so there you go. Oh, this is so awesome. What a perfect gift. I really love it. Thank you. Cheers to 3 years. It's kind of friggin' bonkers. You know what else is crazy? Next month, that nugget over there is going to be 5. 5! Seriously. All right. So thank you guys. You guys are amazing. Wednesday waits for mail call every week because, well, she's a spoiled brat. Look, guys, look at her. Hey, you know we're still doing the show, right? Wednesday? Wednesday. Hey. Bloop. All right. Want to remind you guys about the guitar picks. I showed you guys these last week. These are the mock-ups. I don't have them yet. They told me hopefully end of March, beginning of April. Also, Record Store Day is coming up April 22nd. Go and see Joe and our friends at Joe's Albums. There's a Mistress Carrie rack in there with all of my picks, and he also sells Mistress Carrie gear in there as well. All right, we want to start something new. I know we're running a little late, but I want to start something new. So I want to start a new thing, Show Me Your MC. And I want to thank Brett Feldman for sharing all of his pictures with me. He just got back from the United Arab Emirates, which he had asked me about where I went, which that's him in the Burj Al Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, with the Cocktails in the War Room shirt on. But he also went to a bunch of other places, sent me a bunch of pics. But there's Brett riding a damn camel in his Cocktails in the War Room shirt. Here he is in the desert. And I want to start a new thing called Show Me Your MC, because over the last few years, between the War Room shirts and all of the stuff that you guys have out of the Mistress Carrie store, you guys have pictures at concerts with bands, with your kids, the baby onesies, any photos that you guys are willing to share publicly, photos that you know I am going to post online. If you've got pictures of me with you, with your gear on, or just you at concerts, just you barbecuing, you running, like whatever it is that you're doing, if you've got Mistress Carrie gear on, I want you guys to go through your photo albums from the last couple of years and show me your MC, because I am now going to compile all of these pictures and start a photo album of them, so that every time you guys send me new pictures of wherever you are, I can add them to the album. So Brett, thank you for the inspiration to finally get off my ass and start celebrating you guys for wearing your gear and representing the family proudly wherever you go, the UAE and Israel. And I did the same thing too. I had my Property of Mistress Carrie shirt on, walking around the United Arab Emirates. And if they only knew what the blueberry cobbler was, probably would have gotten arrested. So I thought these pictures were awesome. I wanted to share them with you guys. And they're going to be some of the first ones that end up online. So show me your MC. Send me your photos. You can just click the message the studio button at mistresscarrie.com and send me all of your pictures, because I definitely want to be able to enjoy and let everybody else enjoy showing the family around the world. Especially if you travel internationally, you got to take pictures and send them to me for sure. If you're celebrating your birthday today, happy birthday, by the way. It is March 7th, and you share your birthday with Matthew Fisher from Procol Harum and Peter Wolf from the Jay Giles Band. So cheers to you guys. Happy birthday. Happy unbirthday, Keith. We always like to celebrate birthdays. Celebrating old age is a good thing, because not everybody gets to grow old. So embrace the wrinkles, embrace the gray hair, wear them with pride, and celebrate your birthday. So cheers to you guys. Jonathan says, show me your MC. Ha, ha, ha. Where do we share them? I want you guys to email them to me. Direct message them to me. If you have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, send them that way. Click the message the studio button at mistresscarrie.com, but send them along. I need pictures of you guys wearing your gear for sure. All right, speaking of the Mistress Carrie Backstage Passes, before we get out of here, the Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass on Patreon, it's a way for you to get access to more stuff. First of all, you get a monthly exclusive live stream, Backstage Pass holders. It's happening Sunday night, March 26th at 7:30. We're changing the clocks this week, guys. Yay! So March 26th is our monthly exclusive live stream. I let you guys know when I book interviews for the podcast, so you can submit podcast questions. When I travel, I take you with me for exclusive travel blog updates. You get early access to event tickets and event info. The one that's coming up on May 6th, you already know all about it. And you also get access to exclusive concert ticket giveaways, including all of these shows at Big Night Live. So if you have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass and you want to go to one of these shows, you know how to do it. Reach out to me through Patreon and I will get you in, because that's one of the benefits of having a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass is you get hooked up. So sometimes you get discount codes for the online store. Sometimes you get discount codes for shopping at other locations, a little Mistress Carrie extra deal. So if you don't have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, you can either go to patreon.com/Mistress Carrie or click the Backstage Pass button at mistresscarrie.com. Either way, you got to get hooked up. And here are all of the places that you can find me online. So there you go. Pants are overrated, says Rachel. Happy unbirthday, Keith. Let's see. I can send you our first pics. Betty, I want all of them. I want all of the pics. You guys have sent me pictures on and off every now and again, but I never really organize them. And I want to put together a whole gallery on my Facebook page. I want to get them up in a gallery. One of the things that is a goal of mine for this year is to get my photo archive at mistresscarrie.com completed finally. It's been 3 years since I launched the website. I've got hundreds of photos with bands. Some of them need to be digitized. Some of them just need to be uploaded. But I need to do a better job of getting pictures up on the website. And I want to be able to show off how badass you guys look in all the gear. So send them to me. All right, guys, that's the show. One more look at the sleeping nugget to my right. There she is. Remind you guys at midnight tonight, episode 144 of the Mistress Carrie podcast featuring Billy Sheehan from the Winery Dogs goes live. Speaking of dogs. And next week, we celebrate our 3rd anniversary, on our 3rd anniversary of being the War Room family, which I'm super excited about. Working on trying to get a surprise guest. No promises, though. Lots of logistics going on, but I am trying. But celebrating our 3rd year anniversary is a pretty spectacular thing. So good night, everybody. I love you guys. Happy almost 3rd anniversary. Check out the new podcast episode at midnight tonight. And say goodnight, Wednesday. Wednesday, you say goodnight? She says goodnight.